This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
New at 11, an arrest and road rage investigation highlighting an issue in a Southwest Side neighborhood.
People say drivers speeding down their streets are putting lives at risk. RTV6 reporter Graham Hunter is talking to folks who want to put something in place to prevent racing drivers.
Neighbors tell me when drivers come off Mills Road and start coming down Callum here, they really pick up speed, and then once they hit this stop sign, they take off. We've seen lots of families with kids walking around here in the community, and the concern is that if something doesn't change, there could be deadly consequences.
It's an everyday occurrence.
Folks living on Kellum Drive are tired of seeing it.
I've witnessed it for 23 years. It seems like it's got worse here just lately.
A lot of squealing tires coming around corners.
Cars speeding.
For Jesse Couch, it caused property damage.
I used to be able to park my work truck right there out on the street, and it was there maybe 6 months or so, and then it got sideswiped.
Fred Kellermeyer says accidents happen in front of his home all the time.
And the accidents I've seen have even ended up in my yard.
I got kids out here every day that play. My wife, she walks up and down this place.
That's a concern we heard around the neighborhood.
We've had a few people come over the curb and into our yard a few times.
This woman we met told us the last time that happened, her son was playing in the yard.
They went into the grass, and I was pretty fearful that he would be hit if he wasn't closer to the house.
The final straw came this week while they were crossing the street.
We had two people side by side coming down the road.
The incident would eventually be investigated by IMPD as a road rage. She filmed the interaction.
The other driver was yelling and screaming about tailgating
and tried to tell them to slow down.
Just don't drive like that. My kid plays here.
She says one of the drivers made threats to her. It's why she asked us to keep her identity private. One of the drivers was eventually arrested for disorderly conduct and driving on a suspended license. But this woman has a plan to prevent it from happening again.
Speed bumps through this area.
In order for that to happen, you have to make a request to DPW and then get 75% of your neighbors to sign on in a petition.
I'd get behind it.
I'm ready to sign.
Yeah. For more information on what it takes to get traffic calming measures like speed humps in your neighborhood, head over to theindychannel.com and click on this story. We're reporting from the South Side.
From Miami County to Henry County and beyond, it will be a long recovery process for people impacted by tornadoes across central Indiana. In Madison County, a Red Cross shelter is open in Pendleton, the community hit hardest by the storms. The shelter is at Pendleton Heights High School and will stay open until further notice. Food, snacks, and water are provided. We spoke with neighbors about surviving the storm and what comes next.
All I see is just the strong winds pick up, trees flying everywhere. I just don't know what to do. My mom's screaming at me to go to the basement, but I want to see what's going on outside. But the fact of how quickly it just happened outside is just astonishing.
The biggest thing is everybody's pulling together and gonna make sure everybody's okay. That was the biggest thing last night. It was going door to door to make sure all the elders, all the pets, and everybody was taken care of. So it's gonna be a long road to recovery for Pendleton.
The National Weather Service confirms an EF2 tornado in Pendleton.
An EF2 tornado also touched down in Grant County, leaving a more than 4-mile path of destruction. The tornado destroyed Don Sweet's rental home, 2 barns, his sister's home, and it blew away her garage. But the car inside the garage is barely damaged at all.
It was pretty weird to see a car that didn't have a dent in it, but laying right next to our house in the garage. The garage blew away.
Emergency management officials say at least 3 or 4 homes are destroyed in Grant County. No one inside the homes were injured.
Tornadoes are also confirmed in Miami and Henry counties. Emergency officials in Miami County say at least an EF2 tornado hit there. And the National Weather Service says an EF1 tornado damaged buildings and took down trees and power lines in Henry County.
Now, rain is a big issue in some parts of central Indiana tonight. Here's a look at flash flooding in Kokomo. And the severe weather threat is not over. Kevin joins us now. Kevin.
The overnight threat, slight risk for some damaging wind as storms come in, especially to northwest Indiana. Show you where those are sitting right now, just across the state line. They should weaken a little bit. They're west of Interstate 57. We go in closer. This has been moving to the east, but a little bit northeast, and that will put it toward Benton County and Fowler and areas northwest as we get to the early overnight hours. That should be between, say, 12:30 and 1 a.m. Other thunderstorms will start to move back in the early morning hours. Here's the latest timing, 7 a.m. Some showers and thunderstorms, Lafayette on up to Peru, and there's your slight risk widespread for tomorrow. So severe threat will continue through the middle of the week.
Our storm aftermath coverage continues a little later here at 11. Still ahead, the warning the Attorney General wants storm victims to hear. Storm damage is not limited to Indiana either. Tornadoes also swept through Ohio and now Kansas. See some of the hardest hit areas. And you can find complete coverage anytime on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com, including a timeline of the tornadoes, photo galleries, and much more.
A plea hearing and sentencing is scheduled tomorrow for a man charged with murdering a Boone County Sheriff's deputy. Anthony Bumgart will likely not face the death penalty. He is accused of shooting and killing Deputy Jacob Pickett in March of last year. According to court documents filed today, Bumgart is expected to plead guilty and will receive a life sentence without the possibility of parole. A couple accused of torturing and killing a 12-year-old boy face charges in Monroe County. Eduardo Pozo died last Friday. The family stayed in a hotel because the parents traveled across the country for work advertising for a circus. Police believe the boy died of starvation. The coroner says he weighed about 55 pounds. They also think his father and his stepmother restrained him with chains and used a shock collar on him. And investigators say this is one of the worst cases of abuse they've ever seen.
Before I became sheriff, I worked for 20 years, pretty much exclusively with child abuse cases, and I've worked some pretty horrendous ones, but this certainly is, it is beyond anything that I work.
Police arrested Luis Pozo and Diane Medina Flores. Several law enforcement agencies will be involved in this investigation.
Noblesville West Middle School will continue to have increased security measures this week after a social media threat. Additional counselors will also be on hand. The school says all events will go on as scheduled. Officials are asking that students leave large bags, including backpacks, at home. This comes just over 1 year after a student shot a classmate and a teacher at the school. Indianapolis police are questioning two people related to a robbery at a cell phone store. We showed you this surveillance video yesterday. People inside an AT&T store being held at gunpoint by masked robbers. 8 stores owned by Prime Communications have been robbed over the past 2 months. The company is offering a $3,000 reward for information about the robberies. For information, click on this story in the RTV6 app.
An elephant at the Indianapolis Zoo continues to defy the odds. The zoo says the deadly virus caught by the African elephant Kadar is now barely found in his system. The survival rate for elephants diagnosed with the disease is very low. 2 other elephants at the zoo died from it earlier this year. The virus cannot spread to humans or other animals.
Franklin Township will look a little like Carmel this fall. Construction is underway for the first of 4 roundabouts. The first project to break ground is at Franklin Road and Edgewood Avenue. Drivers going east or west on Edgewood should detour north on Hickory Road or Emerson Avenue to use Thompson Road. Those driving north and south should detour east onto Thompson Road or Southport Road to use Hickory Road. The intersection of Arlington and Edgewood will close Monday for the second roundabout. After 8.5 hours of spelling, participants in the Scripps National Spelling Bee are getting closer to finding out if they'll make it to the finals.
Today's rounds narrowed the field down to 452 spellers. 14 of the 16 Hoosier students are still in the competition, including both spellers from IPS. Tomorrow they'll spell some more, but only 50 will advance to Thursday's finals. Scripps is the parent company of RTV6. You can watch Thursday's finals on ESPN and ESPN2.
Our overnight storms most likely in northwest Indiana, but when you wake up, they're expanding. Between 7 and 10, a round of thunderstorms. We'll finish the timeline for tomorrow and let you know when we break the pattern coming up.
Also ahead here, the Supreme Court is weighing in on 2 Indiana laws. What the High Court ruled when it comes to abortion rights in the Hoosier State.
I'm so grateful to be alive. Grateful for every breath. Grateful for everything.
The woman who spent more than 2 weeks lost in a rugged Hawaiian terrain reveals new details about her ordeal, how wild boars helped her survive. You're watching RTV6 News at 11.
AndyMoore-Chevy.com.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
As the sun starts to go down, you're like, okay, another night alone. How am I going to stay warm? How am I going to stay alive?
The woman who went missing for 17 days in a Hawaii forest is out of the hospital tonight. Amanda Eller shared more of her story today. Search crews found the 35-year-old Friday. She survived by staying near a freshwater source and eating berries and bugs. Eller also says she spent one night in a wild boar den and often followed their tracks as she made her way through the forest.
So there's boars everywhere through there. My ankles were already tore up. It was like me following boar paths to their boar dens to sleep for the night.
Eller says she regrets not taking her cell phone with her on her run. She advises hikers to be over-prepared no matter what.
The Supreme Court has issued rulings involving some hot-button political issues. One focused on transgender students in bathrooms, and a pair of challenges involving abortion rights in Indiana. ABC's Trevor Alt breaks down the rulings from Washington.
The Supreme Court wading into the cultural divide Tuesday. First, abortion, where following several recent state-level restrictions, today the court reached different conclusions over a pair of 2016 Indiana laws signed by then-Governor Mike Pence.
Proud to be a part of a pro-life administration.
The court let stand a ruling which struck down one of the laws which had banned abortion on the basis of sex, race, or disability. Though Justice Clarence Thomas, setting the table for future abortion cases, wrote, quote, "Having created the constitutional right to an abortion, this court is duty-bound to address its scope." Today, the justices also voted 7-2 to allow a different Indiana law, this one requiring fetal remains be buried or cremated after an abortion is performed. The court saying it doesn't create an undue burden for women trying to have the procedure. The ACLU was among those who challenged the law.
Laws like Indiana's are part of a nationwide strategy to stigmatize abortion and push abortion out of reach.
The Supreme Court also blocked a challenge to a Pennsylvania school district policy that allowed transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity. The rule had been challenged by a group of students represented by a Christian advocacy group. Today, the justices declined to take up the case, giving a legal victory to transgender students, at least for now.
There are many more state-level abortion laws that are likely headed to the Supreme Court. And today in Missouri, the ACLU began pursuing a referendum on the state's new 8-week abortion ban. They want to put that issue on the ballot. Trevor Alt, ABC News, Washington.
Beware of scammers looking to take advantage of homeowners who need repairs after Monday's tornadoes. That's the message from Indiana's Attorney General. If you're dealing with damage, here's some advice from the AG's office. Do not sign documents or agree to any repair work on the spot. If a stranger offers to perform a free inspection, do not give them access to your home. Ask whether your insurance company recommends any particular repair company, and do not sign over insurance checks directly to repair companies.
Parts of Ohio are under a state of emergency at this hour after tornadoes swept through the state as well as Salina, about 50 miles southeast of Fort Wayne. That's one of the hardest hit cities. The mayor of Salina says some homes were knocked off of their foundations, as you see. The storms are being blamed for at least one death there. A parked car blew into a man's home, killing him as he slept.
And new at 11, this is the aftermath of a tornado in Kansas. The National Weather Service says the tornado touched down on the western edge of Kansas City tonight. The Kansas City International Airport temporarily suspended flights and moved people from the terminals to parking garage tunnels for shelter. There are several reports of injuries in the Lawrence area.
Kevin joins us now, and hopefully things are going to be calming down over the next few days.
So there were 27 tornado reports today, primarily in Kansas and then crossing into northwest Missouri. The change will come as we get to Thursday, Friday. So one more 24-hour stretch here. As far as our rain chances, up there again tomorrow and Thursday. Thursday, the most likely day. That will lead to cooler temperatures and a dry Friday. Chance of thunderstorms first half of your weekend. Second half should be dry and maybe start a dry stretch as well. Storm Shield app, it is free. And as we've seen with all the power outages that we've had with these storms, if your phone's charged, you're still going to get critical information. The alerts are sent right to your phone. This is for iPhone and Android, and it is free. Thunderstorms to the west. Some of these are strong. They're west of Interstate 57, moving to the east and slightly northeast, putting it more likely to come in Benton County and areas of northwest Indiana. That's the initial push of showers and thunderstorms. As we go through the overnight, we'll see more by morning. Damaging wind would be the main threat from any of those storms that maintain some strength. Any additional rain is not good news because we have saturated ground, especially on a line from Old Frankfort to Kokomo over toward Marion and Hartford City. Pretty consistent rain chances during the day tomorrow. The difference tomorrow, whereas we haven't had any rain in the southern half of the state, I think we'll begin to see more in the way of thunderstorms in the southern half of the state and give northern Indiana a little bit of a break. Widespread slight risk for severe storms through the day tomorrow. 7 a.m. scattered thunderstorms, any one of which would have some heavy rainfall as we go to the afternoon or mid-morning. But you see the transition to the south where we have more widespread showers, thunderstorms on an isolated basis. Any of those could be severe. That swings away. We wait for temperatures to heat up a little bit, and we see redevelopment of thunderstorms right across central Indiana. That slowly drops to the south tomorrow evening. Tomorrow's plan on temperatures in the low 80s for a high. That's true from north to south. It will be a bit breezy out of the southwest with some gusts over 20 miles per hour, and thunderstorms will cut off some of the heating. On Thursday, temperatures, they're in the 70s. That's a change. And 70s really after that within the 7-day forecast. One more day in the 80s tomorrow. The rest of the 7-day planner, temperatures middle to upper 70s. Overnight lows as cool as 55. And our rain chances fairly low as we get to the weekend. Temperatures on the Saturday, 79, 75 on Sunday.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for that. Hey, RTV6 is just days away from a big milestone. Thursday marks 70 years that we've been broadcasting into your home and across central Indiana.
And so all this month we are bringing you stories from decades ago to share with you how much has changed over the years.
And tonight we're going back to March of 1989 when a type of store that's now on the brink of extinction had saturated the market.
In most of Indianapolis's major residential areas, video stores now number about 4 per square mile. That's a lot of video. But why Indianapolis?
About 2 years ago, one of the video industry trade magazines did a story on Indianapolis. And the tone of the story was basically we were all out here in bib overalls and straw hats. And I think some of the people from out of town thought, well, these guys are ripe for the picking, and they all came to town.
Success for most video renters has been as easy as opening their doors, but it now appears much of the Indianapolis market has reached its limit. Errol's, one of the nation's largest video rental chains, apparently made it to Indianapolis a bit late. Its 3 citywide stores lasted only 9 months before the company realized it may have made a mistake. Errol's had planned to open nearly a dozen stores citywide, but according to a spokesman for the company, the potential to dominate the Indianapolis market just wasn't there, so we changed corporate directions. Some video renters agree that with few exceptions, the Indianapolis market is sold out.
I see the video market in Indianapolis is totally saturated. I would hate to be an individual bringing in a brand new store and trying to make it go right now with the kind of stores that are out in the market now with the price competition starting.
Still, others believe the boom has just begun.
Videos they're just so big. Everybody's renting videos, and there's never really enough of the new releases available. So, you know, I see a lot of good things in the future. It can't go anywhere but up.
The good news for the renter is that more competition may mean lower prices, and certainly means more copies of the movies you want to see. David Clue, Channel 6 News.
Thank you. The downfall of video rental stores began with the popularity of Netflix, Redbox, and video on demand. Errol's was bought out by Blockbuster in 1990. Today, there's only one Blockbuster location left in Oregon, but you can still find a few family video locations in central Indiana.
Road trip.
Road trip. All right, make sure you join us on Thursday night from 7 to 8 for 70 Years Together Working for You, featuring RTV6 staff, past and present, sharing stories and Indianapolis history. You can check out more stories from the archives right now at theindychannel.com/70 years.
I saw a little sneak peek of the show. I could not turn away.
You could? Good.
That's
really, good to hear.
This is really good Thursday night here at RTV6. All right, let's talk sports. For those who did not win the Indy 500, and there were more than one, they can't get to the next race quick enough. Good news, that happens this coming weekend. The Sports Sector Spotlight for the news at 11 continue.
Furniture and Mattress Store, Ashley Home Store.
Welcome back. Good evening. There are clearly two parts to the IndyCar season, the Indy 500 and everything else. And with May now out of the way, now comes the everything else as they're moving on to Motown in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
Let's face it, only one driver is really happy leaving the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But the IndyCar season is far from over, and it begins in Detroit this weekend. And that's what brings the rest of the field a little solace.
I think the best medicine when you're disappointed about an event is to get to the next one.
Get moving.
So the limited amount of time is actually quite nice in this game.
Detroit brings with it a tight street layout, few places to pass, and usually, at some point, rain. But also experience. Alexander Rossi picked up some after being pressured into a mistake by his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay.
How quickly can you turn off May and now concentrate on the rest of the season?
I'm already there. Already been watching videos for Detroit this morning, and my engineer and I have actually been talking about Detroit kind of in this past week because there's such a gap between your kind of Monday practice and Friday carb day. So I'm already there, looking forward to it.
And remember, there isn't one race in Detroit, but two, twice the points. Scott Dixon won the first Detroit race a year ago. He's fifth in the series point standings this year and can't wait to return. And even more than that.
The short tracks, I think, are going to be really interesting this year, going to 150 boost KPA, which, you know, is road course power. So that's going to be, St. Louis is going to be so damn fast, man.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, you're going to be turning into turn one, closing your eyes and hoping for the best, I think.
So the end of May brings the beginning of the rest of the season, just a few hours to the north. By the way, the Penske influence is arguably even bigger there. Roger helped restart the event on Belle Isle in 2007.
You know, we bring this to the city of Detroit, $50 million worth of economic benefit to the city. I think we've showcased the city on television nationally, which is key. We got great races. The kids come down there. So it's something that we give back to the city as promoters. And we hope that this will be a race there for many, many years. And getting it right after the Indy 500 with the champion. Nice to have our guy. And we have two races is special.
By the way, shout out to all the race crews for these teams trying to turn around the cars quickly this week with another tight week next week as they head to Texas. Busy time for everyone in IndyCar. WNBA tonight. Fever still on the road at Connecticut tonight, fresh off that thrilling season opener. Started well. Erica Wheeler here with the drive, two of her game high 26. Candace Dupree chipped in with 20, but the Sun outscored the Fever by 7 in the third, led by as many as 15. They win 88-77. Home opener Saturday against New York. Baseball for you. A lot of hot dogs at Victory Field tonight, namely the edible kind, footlongs and so forth. And then, well, there was the ones out in right field. Bark in the Park night. Very cool spot. Fido, Marley, Fred, he brought them all. Tribe playing from behind. Pablo Reyes, two-run shot to the left, not enough. Tribe lose 9-4. This one's for the Dogs. Same 2 tomorrow night. Hey, finally tonight, first and foremost, from Pagano's Victory Tour. He spent the day doing media in New York City, but had some time for lunch. So did his dog, Norman. What does Norman eat after Dad wins the Indy 500? Well, sushi, apparently. Ahi, apparently. Life is good for Simon and Norman. Pagano, he's already in Dallas tonight. He'll be there all day tomorrow, and then they head to Detroit after that.
We had a chance to interview Norman
Yeah, well, we
at the
met
trackside on Sunday.
Quite the talker.
Yeah.
Sushi.
Told us he loves sushi. Yeah.
Apparently.
Now you guys know I'm not crazy. Other people are dog parents too. We'll be right back.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
Overnight thunderstorms most likely in northern portions of the state, but by sunrise drifting to the south. Another day with some thunderstorms tomorrow at 82.
All right.
Thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news.
Good morning, Indiana. Starts at 4:30. Have a good evening.